I'm kind of nervous to film this. I feel like I'm gonna forget something. I probably will. Oh well. Hi. So it is January 5th right now. I am finally wrapping up my 2022 TBR. And I figured, you know, there's so many books. So many that I want to read in 2023. I figured I might just list some of them out. Some of these have been on my list for a while. Some of them I just found. Of course, I'm gonna miss some, forget some, find new ones later. But this is a general guideline, I guess, of books that I'm really interested to read this year. Yeah, so I'm not categorizing them by genre because I don't feel like it. I'm gonna just do categories that are, I don't know, you'll see what I mean. So starting off with a really normal category, since we are in the beginning of the year, of course these are definitely in my sights, on my vision boards, all the things, self-help / motivation. There's like a good handful of these that I actually really want to pick up this year. So yeah, number one that I want to get this first, is called the 12-week year. It's basically about determining all of your main goals that you have to complete in the year and breaking it down to 12-month periods and trying to get as close to that goal as possible. Kind of like shoot for the stars, land on the moon. Is that what it is? That kind of gist. So I really want to read that and just kind of lay everything out. I'm a planner. I get kind of crazy about it. I feel like this would really just scratch that little itch that my brain has for organizing things. That's number one. I also really want to get to Atomic Habits. I've heard only good things about that. I've heard that a lot of the techniques, I guess, are really applicable, so I figured I'd give that a try. Then I want to read The Mountain Is You, kind of just a book about getting out of your own way. And then I want to read Working Hard, Hardly Working by Grace Beverley. I'm obsessed with Grace Beverley. I also listen to her podcast. I just, everything that she does, I love it. So that's my little handful of self-help books. Okay, next I figured I'd talk about series, because this is the main chunk of books that I'm hoping to get to this year. So I'm just gonna like rapid fire these, okay? Dune. No explanation needed. I love to nerd out over things, which is what most of these series are. So, Dune. Jade City Saga, yes. Dance of Thieves, pretty sure this is a duology. I want to get to this ASAP. It looks so pretty. The Cruel Prince trilogy. This isn't one where I feel like I need to read it right this second, but I'm interested. Scythe, I've heard really good things about Scythe. I haven't heard the best things about the last book, but I am inspired to read them. Hellbent, the second book after Ninth House, just released, potentially today, if not this week. Definitely reading that. We Hunt the Flame, this is another one. I think it's a duology, but it's so pretty and I want to read it. All of the V.E. Schwab series. I read Addie LaRue, it was my favorite book for like a couple months. Love it. So the Villains series, Gallant, I don't know if that's a series, but I want to read it. I think it's called the Dark Magic series. Yeah, just all the V.E. Schwab stuff. Okay, so another series that I want to read is Crave. I've heard some people compare this to Twilight, but it's on Kindle Unlimited. So I'm thinking I'll probably pick that up as soon as I'm done with the Zodiac Academy. That's the plan. Okay, then I need to finish Zodiac Academy and the Throne of Glass series. So I am hoping to get to both of those by the end of the year. I also really want to reread ACOTAR. I've talked about this a couple times recently. I don't think that I retained it very well, and I feel like I would really, really enjoy it if I did a reread, which I don't reread books. I'm ready to go to the next thing, you know? I'm not trying to go backwards, but I feel like I would actually really enjoy it, so I do want to reread ACOTAR. Okay, so I only have one book listed under nonfiction / memoir, biography, whatever, and it's Kim Jiyoung, born 1982. I've seen this book a lot of places, and I don't know, I'm just really interested. I've heard really good things about it, so it's just about the only nonfiction memoir book for this year that I've seen that doesn't bore me immediately. So I read a handful last year, and I honestly really liked the ones that I read, so hopefully through this book, maybe I'll find more. Okay, then I have a couple that are listed under romance ? Yeah, I'm just gonna let that be. So the first one that I have written is Alone with You in the Ether. This is by Olivie Blake. She wrote the Atlas 6 and the Atlas Paradox. I have heard so many mixed reviews about this. I've heard it's great, and then I've heard that it sucks. I did really like both of the Atlas Paradox. I liked those books a lot. So I figured, you know, if I have time, I would like to get around to it. Okay, then I want to read One Last Stop, which this one I'm actually very excited about. It's from the same author that read Red, White, and Royal Blue. I swear that is always going to be a tongue twister, and it shouldn't be. But I was so surprised by how much I liked that book. The banter was so good. The I don't know. I really liked how it was written. And this one kind of has a little fantasy aspect to it, like a little magical in there. So One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. Another romance that I was so surprised that I enjoyed as much as I did last year was Beach Read by Emily Henry. So of course I have to read Book Lovers now. Also, sorry, I'm kind of sniffly. But yeah, I've heard people that say that they don't like it as much as Beach Read, but I don't think that I would mind going through another book of her writing. You know what I mean? Also, In 5 Years, I've heard a lot of things about. It's very intriguing to me. I know it's a time travel trope going on, also kind of romancy. So I threw that one under this category. And then also Cleopatra and Frankenstein. I don't know anything about this book. I've just seen it categorized with other books that I'm interested in reading, so I figured it probably fits the bill. And I like the cover. That's it. Okay, then I have a category that I titled, Am I Pretentious? Question mark. These are just books where I'm like, they're probably gonna be pretentious, or I'm gonna feel kind of pretentious reading them, but I like it anyway. So this one is also kind of long of a list. This is another one. You either love it or you hate it. My Year of Rest and Relaxation. This one actually really interests me. I've heard a lot of people say not a lot happens, but I've also heard a lot of people say that it reminds them of Gossip Girl because it's kind of just being put in the scenario of super rich galley in New York, I think it is. So I was like, you know, worst comes to worst, nothing happens, and she's giving Gossip Girl vibes. So we'll see if I like it. It could really go either way. Another one is The Starless Sea. I heard about this one first from Mel Reads, which if you don't watch her, I love her book channel so much. And I get a lot of the books that I want to read from her. She has said that this book has very lyrical writing. I didn't know this until recently. Apparently I like that. So I want to try this out and see if it's kind of my thing. I also want to read The Portrait of a Lady. This is one of those Penguin classic books. I think I picked it up in Barnes & Noble one day and I read half the back of it, and it kind of said how she was a woman in older times and she didn't want to get married and she just wanted to do her own thing. And I was like, we stand it. I'll read that. I'm glad that these are so helpful of descriptions. This happens every time I do a TBR, but I just kind of go off feeling. Another one, and this is not by the same author. They probably have nothing in common, but it looks so similar to the cover of Cleopatra and Frankenstein. Sirens and Muses. This is intriguing me. I would like to read this just from the title. The next one that I have written is The Myth of Sisyphus and Other Short Stories. Forgot why I had this on my TBR, but I think I'm gonna keep it because why not? I was interested for some reason. A lot of these are just books that I've seen TikToks on, YouTube videos about, found it in Barnes & Noble and read half the back. Like, you know. Ooh, this is actually one that I think that I want to read in January. The Ones That Walked Away from Omelos, I think is how you say it. I heard it's a really short book, but basically the gist is like there's this kind of perfect society, but the only way that they're able to sustain that is by like killing a kid or killing kids or something like that. I don't know. And there's people that leave and end up having to live a really, really hard life to not continue to contribute to that society, I guess. I don't know. Seems interesting. I like it. I really don't have a lot of classics on this list. I thought that I would have more. I read not a ton, but like a good handful last year. But I also felt like by a certain point I did get kind of tired of them and I stopped paying attention as much. So I feel like it's more realistic to have less, but still have some. So I have Sense and Sensibility on here. I've kind of realized that I'm not the best at connecting to books through audio, so I'm gonna try to read it. Maybe I'll do the whole like have it on audio but have it in front of me too, reading through it at the same time. Maybe it'll, I don't know, click more that way. And then I also want to read Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I heard this one was kind of overhyped. I'm still curious. Still kind of want to read it. Also, the cover is pretty chill, and I like that. Okay, next category is summary. So on here, I've been meaning to read this book for so long now. Malibu Rising. It's so aesthetically pleasing. The plot sounds cool. I'm pretty sure this is the one where it's within 24 hours. And it's kind of a mystery is going on, I think. Obviously, because of the cover and because of the title, I have to read it in the summer. Duh. One Italian Summer. Do I need to explain more? No. Last year, I really got sucked into the hype of having an Italian summer. Did I go to Italy for the summer? Absolutely not. And I tried to live that through Love and Gelato, and it did not deliver. It was like, it was too cringy. It was a little too cutesy for me, personally. But I'm thinking maybe I'll give One Italian Summer a try. Maybe it'll cure my craving. Also, Lucky. I have been wanting to read this for a while. I know it was on Reese Witherspoon's book club. I trust her. Also, the cover looks cool and summery. Makes me think of one of those, like, I don't know, Ocean's 8, like, women scheming type of feel. I also want to read Lessons in Chemistry. I feel like this, literally just because it's got bright colors on it, makes me want to read it in the summer. Also, I found this because of Grace Beverley. She posted that she was reading it and was really enjoying it. So I was like, I love you. I'll also love this book. Very, she wore army pants and flip-flops, so I wore army pants and flip-flops. But I don't care. I'm gonna read it. Okay, also, I put this under summer for a specific purpose instead of putting it under romance. One, I don't know if it's a romance. I'm assuming that it might be just because of who it is. But Emily Henry just announced that she's releasing another book at the very end of April. It's called Happy Place. I will absolutely be reading this in the summer. Are you kidding? Her books just scream summertime, you know what I mean? So I like it. Okay, then there's a handful of manga that I want to read. I want this list to be longer, but this is what we're starting with, okay? I'm getting this for sure for January. I want to read Spy Family. I've heard so many things about it. I need to read Spy Family. I've heard the first one in particular is very good, and I think the fourth one is really, really good. I don't know. I've heard that certain ones, but I just want to read it. I want to see what's up. There's so much hype. And I know there's hype around the anime and stuff, but I don't know. I just like have the craving to read it for some reason. Then of course, I have to get my Junji Ito fix in. I gotta read Gyo. That's been on my list for a while. And then I put Death Note ? The only reason I put question mark, because one, I watched all the anime and it was really, really good. But I also already know like the entire plot. But the only reason I say question mark is because I got a copy of the first Death Note book. I got the black edition. It's so pretty. The pages, like the outsides of the pages and everything are all black. It just looks so cool. I got it in Paris though, so it's all in French. So either like, do I buy a second edition of the same book, or do I just, maybe I'll just Google Translate it. So that's where my maybe is coming in. Question mark on that one. But I do really like it. I think it's cool. Also, I started the Vinland Saga last year. I got through the first two. The third book is one of the prettiest covers, so I want to at least get to the third book because obvious reasons. Are we seeing a pattern? Okay, and then the last category that I have on here is seems like it'll be spooky. Now, this category was almost just titled cannibalism because I think several of these are just about cannibalism because for some reason everyone's obsessing over that right now. Yeah, I'm feeding into it because I do also want to read these. But to open the floor a little bit more, books that seem like they'll be spooky. I have What Moves the Dead. At some point I saw some type of synopsis or explanation about what this was. I also thought the cover was cool. So I was like, yeah, this totally fits my thing. Next we have Tender is the Flesh. Pretty sure this is a cannibalism book. That's all I need to say, I feel like. Now this one you should have known was coming. A Certain Hunger. This one I'm actually so excited about. I feel like it's gonna be a 5-star read. I kind of want to group these together, maybe read them in February or something, like a little femme fatale February. Also on this list, I have Notes on an Execution, which I'm pretty sure is one of those books where it has like serial killer POV or, you know, someone that did something horrible. It's their point of view. Those always really interest me. Like for a while, In Cold Blood was my favorite book. I couldn't tell you why that's so interesting to me, but it is. So Notes on an Execution. Then I have Human Acts. This one, I don't know what it's about, but I remember seeing it a lot in the same TikToks and YouTube videos as Tender as the Flesh and A Certain Hunger. So I feel like it's gonna be that same type of thing. Maybe not specifically cannibalism, but same eerie, creepy genre. Ooh, okay, so the next one that I have is Babel. I have seen this everywhere. I know you've seen this everywhere. It's everywhere. It's massive, which is fine. I love me a massive book, but it looks very dark, very spooky, that type of feel. And obviously, since it's so large, I'm assuming there's probably gonna be a lot of world building. As far as I know, this is a standalone. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Is this a series? I have no idea. Speaking of series, I actually did mean to mention this in the series one, but it also fits in this category, The Handmaid's Tale. I guess you could count it in this category if I don't read the second book. This one has been on my list for a minute too. But something that really motivated me to want to read this book is that I know that Mona Awad, who wrote Bunny and All's Well, gets a lot of her inspiration from this author. So I would really love to see where she gets her like very eerie inspiration from. I haven't seen the show, so I don't have any spoilers for it or anything. I just know that they wear robes and people are comparing it to Texas. Okay, this one I actually added to my TBR and my want to read whatever today. It's called The Push. I read the little synopsis and basically it said, I saw it in somebody's TikTok and then I saw it on Goodreads and I was like, what is this about? Again, I only read half of it, but it says that there's this woman and she becomes a mother and everything about motherhood was just like the opposite of what she was hoping for, and it's kind of a nightmare and she hates it. And I feel like that's really interesting, but I'm very curious to read it from a different perspective because like not everybody's meant to be a parent. So it'd be cool to kind of read a contrast to that. All right, so that's all I have written down. Like I said, I'm sure there's a massive one that I'm forgetting. If I remember it or if I come across it, I'll try and add it to the description. If not, I'll go ahead and list all of these anyways. But besides that, I hope you have a wonderful January. And I don't know, go read some books. So, see ya.